From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. I've been excited to have a new face of UFC and MMA. Isreal Adesanya's in the building. Lagos, Nigeria, by way of Auckland, New Zealand. Middleweight champion of the world. A lot of talk around you. First of all, welcome to Hot 97, man.
Cool. Thank you. It's been good. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, you're sitting in a station where legends have been born.
I think one of my favorite freestyles, Lloyd Banks.
Classic.
Lloyd Banks with Funkmaster Flex.
Yep. Classic G-Unit freestyles.
Yeah, definite.
So real quick, I want to get to your whole story and coming up and being from Nigeria and then being in New Zealand and now with UFC here in the US and fighting in China. But let's start with the big UFC story at hand, which was the fight over the weekend. I have a couple layers to ask about that. First of all, what did you think of the stoppage in Diaz Masvidal?
I mean, it's for the bad motherfucker belt, right? I mean, a bad motherfucker, Diaz, he's a bad motherfucker. He wanted to keep going, and Jorge would have kept going, but the doctor, he played a little bit too safe. And I think it's because of the ideology, because it took a long time for MMA to get legalized in New York. And some people behind the scenes, they still have this Puritan ideology, so the cut is too hard. It's like, nah, I got to stop it, because Diaz, you flick him and he gets cut.
Right. No, it looked, when he was bleeding 2 minutes into the fight, a lot of people that would worry you. But me watching, I'm like, all right, well, he's being Nate Diaz. This is going to be fine.
He's going to take some shots. He's going to take some licks. But, if you look at his past fights, and a lot of the ones that he's won as well, it's the same exact cut right above his eyebrow. And this one right here as well. So
yeah, I mean, he ended up, it looked almost like Tyson's tattoo. Yeah. I mean, it's like the entire eye.
Like
but it wasn't, it didn't appear to be something that would,
fight.
Right?
It wasn't. He was still going. And you see in the third round, when I was watching that live, I gave the third round to Diaz. The first two were Jorge. In the third round, I saw Diaz come back. But, when you watch it again, you can see difference. But Diaz, he comes back in the fourth round and the fifth round. That's when he puts it on you. And he's done it many times. So I think even he said he was just getting warmed up. So, yeah, he should let it keep going.
You think we'll see that fight again?
I hope they do the fight again just to kind of settle it, But, yeah, we'll see. You've got Usman fighting Colby in Vegas December 14th. So that's for the real welterweight title, the real bad motherfucker belt. And yeah, anything can happen, man.
How do you feel about the Usman Covington fight? I mean,
Usman's my dude. He's from Nigeria as well.
Here's what I'm saying. Let's keep it 100.
Yep.
Okay.
With skills.
I want to see that Nigerian brother beat the out of Colby Covington and his MAGA hat.
Yeah.
I want to see him beat the. And I know Colby's trolling, but it's working.
Of course, yeah, definitely, man. If you see him behind the scenes, you see what he's like. And then you see him on camera.
So it's not real. You're saying you don't think
I'm saying it's not real. It's just a different part of him. It's a different side of him that he's showing the world. And that hey, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it.
But does it upset you?
No, I don't care.
It doesn't bother you.
I don't care. I never met the guy. He's never said like two words about me or to me. So
now, just the general Trump support, does that affect you?
Do what you want.
Do you? Mm-hmm. But you still will be rooting for Usman.
100%. That's the battle for the immigrants, and that's my dude. And I think Colby is going to be in for a rude awakening because Colby can put a pace on people. But Usman, you see what he did to T. Woodley? No one's ever done
that. It was shocking.
5-0, shut down.
It was absolutely shocking.
Yeah, and I think even T. Woodley was like, man, the fuck happened? That's crazy.
Now, you know what it's like to shock a legend.
Yeah.
You did it to Anderson Silva. What was that? Take us through that experience in general.
So for me, as a fighter and as a fan, Anderson Silva was the guy I put on the pedestal forever. And I was like, this is the guy. This is the dude that is the best fighter in the world. And fighting him is like, say, AI playing against Jordan, like playing against your idol, someone you looked up to. And to do to him what he's done to other people for years it was stunning to me. And there was only one moment in that fight in the third round where I kind of paused. And I was like, holy shit. I'm fighting Anderson Silva. And I kind of like snapped back in and I backed off and I just did the work.
Did you feel any way about, I don't want to say guilt, but I know it's your job and you're doing what you're going to do, but someone who you looked up to and someone who appears to be, like, when we had him up here at least, by all accounts, appears to be a very sweet guy.
Nice, too. And that's a tactic, because even when I met him at Fight Week, first time I ever met him, oh, hey, my friend. Oh, he's so nice. And his voice is very soft.
Yes, and Brazilians in general have this way about them that's very...
But he's even extra because he's got like this Michael Jackson-esque, like kind of soft voice. And the thing is, he'll lull you into this comfortable web. He's a spider. He'll lull you in with that voice and with his demeanor But then when you're in there, he'll switch it up on you. And you're like, where's the sweet guy that was just
this guy's an animal.
Exactly. So the whole time leading up to the fight, I never let that seep in. Even when at the weigh-ins he was getting emotional, I never let that seep in. And there was one moment in that fight as well that I kind of clipped him a little bit, and he had his hands down. But I didn't really kick clean. But then I went, stop doing that. To anyone else, there's no one else on this planet, if I clip them and they're having their hands down, I'd be like, stop doing that. So I don't know what that says, but that's a question I have to answer maybe a few years away from the sport to see if I actually held back on him. Because I rocked him in the first round. I was trying to finish him. But that's on the forefront. Subconsciously, I have to answer that later on.
Did you actually? That's super interesting.
I don't know. But there's no one else on this planet. If I clip them or touch their chin, I'd be like, stop doing that. I'd be like, no, hands down, chin up. Let me touch that.
Do you believe your fight with Gastelum was fight of the year?
Right now, we still have a few more months left. Right now, as a fan, yes, just because of the story. He, for the first time in my career, he rocks me in the first round, and everyone's like, oh, shit, this is it. I knew he was all hype, In the second round, I drop him, pow, and then, oh, fuck. He dropped, Gastelum, the granite chin Gastelum. And then third round, I worked him, rocked him again with a spinning elbow and some ninja shit. And then fourth round, chest move, he head kicks me, his little short Mexican, head kick, And I'm just rocked, but I keep my poker face against me. And fifth round, I look across the stage and across the cage, and I look at him and I say, you're not going to beat me, I'm ready to die. And then I just I put it on him. I put the foot down on the pedal and I just ran him through. And that was a defining moment in my career. And that's some movie type shit, You can write that. But
did you think he was going to get stopped at the end?
I was hoping it would. I meant that when I say I was ready to die.
I was about to ask you though. That is a strong thing to say.
No, and I meant that. So if I'm ready to die, I'm ready to kill. And I was trying to take him out. If he didn't come back from that fight, I'd be sad, but I'd be okay with it. I made peace with it because I signed my own life away.
Is that how you guys feel for the most part?
Everyone. There's levels. I've been to that level in training before. Okay, this is the fight. You have to push past this wall. You have to push past this next wall that you hit. When you hit a wall, when you're working out. And in that fight, I hit a wall twice. And then when I got to that point, that's when I just decided this is it. If I die, I die. If he dies, he dies.
Ivan Drago.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a fighter. I don't feel that way.
Yeah. My mom wasn't too proud about that statement, but, yeah.
Well, it's a very different line of business. And we always, I think us as viewers, people who have never competed, for example, there was the fight the other night that ended with that brutal head kick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was
that was the Kevin Lee fight, right?
Kevin Lee fight, yeah, that was the lightweight one. There was two fights that ended with a nice head kick.
And so the dude went back into the cage, and then there was still a quick punch afterwards. And when you're watching, you're always like, why'd you throw the next punch? He was so out on his feet. But when you're in that moment, do you even spot when it happens that they're completely out right away?
Yeah,
or are you just trying to make sure?
Nah, Gamebred said it's super necessary. You have to. But for me, you see me, in my last fight when I got this belt, I knocked him out twice. I knocked him out at the end of the first round at the buzzer. And I could have got off this one more punch, but I'm a nice guy, I don't
even though you're ready to die and ready to kill,
of course,
not if you don't have to.
Exactly, but I pulled back on that punch. I could have got it off and it would have been fine, but I don't know. I just sometimes, I want to hurt people, but I don't want to give them permanent damage.
No,
from when I signed the contract, and yeah, you're ready to go.
So what was your path in life? And you're from Nigeria,
yeah.
But take us on the path, if you will, a version of it to getting to the United States.
All right. So grew up in Nigeria, born and raised, well-off family, beautiful upbringing. Then moved to New Zealand in 2001. And
why'd you move to New Zealand? You're
just better education in Africa is not as recognized as it is in the Western world. So just my dad wanted better credentials, better tertiary education.
And so he sent you there, or the family went there?
He went there first, and then eventually we met up with him over there. And then I was just a dancer for years, and then realized
what kind of dancer?
Like everything: popping, crump, breakdancing, contemporary.
Okay.
Tap. Yeah, I'm versatile.
Apparently so.
Very. And Yeah. Eventually, I watched this movie called Ong Bak, and that was the movie that kind of put me onto Muay Thai, and that made Muay Thai real mainstream to the world. And I already did Taekwondo as a kid as well, so I liked kicking. And then before I knew it, 6 weeks after training, I had my first fight. Shitting myself, scared, but I did well. I won the fight, and then I was just chasing that dragon ever since.
So you walk into it scared. And where was the first fight?
In Porirua, New Zealand, a little small town. And yeah, it was just, I faced this guy. He's in prison now. Shout out to Mac. Yeah, so he looked like a David Tua, like a killer. And I'm just standing there, stone cold face, but in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't fight?
Oh, he's from New Zealand too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, you about to get knocked out. And I was just shitting myself scared. And then within the first 10 seconds, I remember I teeped him, and he fell on his back, and that kind of gave me this confidence. And I was a wild horse. I was just like a bucking bronco when I first started. I wasn't as clean as I am now. So,
but I can imagine how that would happen though if you're super scared, and then you have that first moment where you're able to catch someone, and it makes you believe that you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I love the David Tua reference, by the way.
Oh no, he had the haircut, like the fade and the high top, and he was looking at me like tremoring in his face because he was just.
Tua was almost so great.
Yeah, I was too great, man. That guy, that left hook of doom, man.
I just wanted that next step. I always thought he would really take over the division.
Yeah.
He was small too. He was really interesting. Reach wise, he had a tough time with
He knew how to get inside. He had that Tyson style.
He did. That's what got him all the way to the top.
Yeah.
But so then what happened? How did you end up? You ended up going to China to fight as well.
Yeah. So I fought for years under like the New Zealand banner, and if, you want to make moves, but people weren't really paying attention. And I look at it like, say, LeBron. He was with. I don't follow basketball. He was with the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
Then Cleveland.
Went back to Cleveland.
And then Lakers.
Now the Lakers.
So the promoters in New Zealand weren't looking at me. They didn't see the potential. But then when I was fighting in China, they brought me over there as a journeyman, so all their guys can whoop up on me. And then they realized that's not going to happen because I kept on whooping up, on their guys. And then they decided, let's bring this guy into our team. And they were paying me nice at the time, the most I was making at the time. And it was just a lot of experience because, maybe I fought probably 23 or 24 times when I was over in China.
Wow.
In a year. So that's
in a year. Wow. Yeah. That's early days. It's
they put me against some of the baddest motherfuckers in kickboxing. Some of the baddest guys as well, and I beat up on everyone. And it's because I.
And were these in big arenas, or they?
Yeah, that was my first stadium show. Was in China. It was a 50,000 seat stadium, and I think 40,000 showed up. So all that kind of stuff. That's why when I was in the stadium for this fight, it was deja vu. I was like, I've done this shit before, and I've already visualized it. So China for me got me used to all this. Like be a big black man in China in the mainland, walking down the street. You have everyone looking at you.
Right. They know you're somebody.
No, yeah, like basketball. I'm like, no. Or they just see you and it's like, because they don't really see a lot of us around, maybe on TV, so they're just looking. And after the fights, they all swarm you. So that kind of got me used to the attention I'm getting now. It was all reps. Like when I was living there, I was like, this is all prepping me for what's going to come. So I took everything, not just fighting, but outside of fighting. It was all reps for it.
Now, as being a new UFC star, are there days when, depending on where you are, you can move around pretty peacefully, and then other days you end up in a place where everybody knows who you are? And does it just depend?
Depends on where I'm at in the world, and depends on how I feel. So when I'm living in Auckland, I look homeless. Like I'd wear this jacket, some gray sweats, bare feet. They're muddied up from walking the dogs. No chains. None of that. I don't flex. Not too much. I don't want to. But I kind of hide in plain sight. And sometimes people kind of just, if people are nice, I'm cool with it. But sometimes people come at you with, like, I think people lose their respect and manners when they see someone famous because it's passed down. Like, this is how you're supposed to meet someone famous. You're supposed to yell at them, I'm your biggest fan. And that's a little bit too much sometimes. So I just tell them to chill. But the rest of it is just, hey, if that's the worst thing that happens to me that day, well, thank God, because it could be worse.
Yeah, absolutely. How much time do you spend here now?
A lot. Like I'm, my schedule's crazy, man. All the way to December 14th, which is two of my teammates are fighting in Vegas. One of them, Alex, is fighting for the featherweight title, and Kai's fighting in the flyweight division. And so I'm gonna go back and forth. And I'm going to the Joshua fight as well. They invited me in Saudi Arabia, and a few other things in between. So
what's the date on the Joshua fight? We have
I think December the 7th. Yeah.
December the 7th, the rematch?
Saudi Arabia, yeah.
Yeah, I was at the last one.
Oh, for real? That was here? That's
it was the Garden.
Yeah,
it was wild. It was wild.
Was it packed?
Yeah. It ended up being pretty packed, and people were pretty shocked. It was a really, I mean, in New York, anytime you have a big population from a foreign country,
the Bronx.
everyone shows up, like whether it's, back in the days, for Puerto Rican fighters, it was always crazy. But then that night, the whole stadium was Brits. I mean, MSG was basically filled with Brits. Yeah.
Really?
Way more Brits than Mexicans that night, for sure. Because, I mean, there are a lot of Mexicans in New York, but they came out harder. I don't think Ruiz was...
as big as he is now.
No.
Like, if the rematch was...
Oh, if it was now, I think all the Mexicans would come out. But for
right.
that, it was a bigger... Josh was such a huge British star that a lot of Brits flew in, too.
Yeah.
So... that's dope that you get to go to that as well. So wait, when you're in the States, though, what city are you in most?
In Vegas, most likely, because that's the
That's
fight capital of the world.
Right.
That's where the UFC headquarters is based. So normally in Vegas, yeah.
And are you happy? You said to me off the air, I think it was off the air, about DMing Dana White several years ago.
Yeah, like in 2015, I hit him up and I said something like, "Just get me to the cage, give me one shot, I'll take care of the rest." And eventually, 2018, I had my first fight in the UFC.
Do you feel that timing-wise, with everything you did, being in China, being Glory, all the different places you were, timing-wise, it worked out the way it was supposed to?
100%. Like, that was 2015, right? And I was ready then. But I took my time because me and my coach, we took our time because we wanted to come to the UFC and face the best. And I already knew that I was going to be the champ. I already had that in my mind. But everyone has that idea. But when you know, you know. So I wanted to make sure I got there and knew I could defend myself against any kind of style grapplers, because they're going to look at me as a kickboxer and like, oh, let's take him down. And they all keep trying and they all keep failing. So they're going to keep trying again because they don't realize I keep working. They think, oh, he has no takedowns, he has no submissions. And I'm like, well, no one's kept me down yet. I've been leveling up my game. So, yeah, I can't wait to showcase the rest of my cards.
And you're happy with being in UFC?
This is where I'm going to end my career. I'm not going to, like, people say, oh, after UFC you can go to boxing and have one super fight, maybe with Canelo and make $100 million. I'm like, well, I can do that in the UFC. I might be the first fighter to do that in the UFC. And I feel like it's silly. Like, why would I come to the proving ground of all fighting, the UFC,
to think about what's next?
And then, like, afterwards go fight a guy and then take away, like, 80% of my weapons.
And not only that, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I love boxing. I definitely love boxing first.
Me too. Yeah.
Saturday night, were people talking about the Canelo fight, or was everyone talking about? I mean, I hate to say it,
they delayed the main event because they didn't want to clash with.
I mean, think about that. Canelo's one of the biggest fighters in the world, top 2 or 3, maybe the biggest boxing star in the world.
Money, man. So, I mean, right now,
and they waited for Diaz Masvidal. Masvidal basically now an awesome journeyman. I mean, this is a guy who had been around forever, has been famous to the casual fan for all of a year, and they delayed Canelo's fight so they could finish. I mean, it just shows, why would you be thinking about boxing when right now MMA is that much bigger?
And for me, it's not even about the big. I want to kick people. I want to strangle someone, and I can't do that in boxing. I don't want to like get into the clinch and then break. Like it's like same thing with kickboxing, same thing with jiu-jitsu, same thing with judo, same thing with just wrestling. They're all limited style of fighting. If you want to be the baddest motherfucker in the world, you want to be a fighter, the pound for pound. Everyone throws that greatest fighter in the world. Pound for pound is Canelo. It's like, no, he's the pound for pound, maybe greatest boxer right now, not fighter. You have to test yourself against another style. If not, what are you doing? And you're just staying in your lane.
Who do you think pound for pound is the best fighter in the world right now?
Best fighter in the world right now? Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Unfortunately, he's not in the UFC anymore, but I don't think he has anything to prove anymore in the UFC.
It basically looked unstoppable. It didn't look like there was a lot for Mighty Mouse to do.
And the guy, the way he operates at that weight class, he's just so... It's just different. Like, some of the shit he did, like when he caught the guy with the suplex flying on, bro, that was nuts. Who does that?
Does Conor McGregor have any gas left in the tank?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. And you see, like, because we're with the same management team, so... And we talk a little bit, but I can see right now that the way he's approaching the game again, it reminds me of what he came into the game as. You know what I mean? So now he's remotivated, reinvigorated, and I'm looking forward to see what he does next.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people speculate that at some point he'll probably have a fight soon, maybe with Cowboy. We'll see.
January 18th, right?
And is that official yet? Is it official tissue?
Allegedly.
Blank stares. That's what I'm hearing. So if he fights, he fights Cowboy, we'll see. Yeah. And then there was speculation he'd get the winner of this weekend's fight.
Yeah.
Which would be a huge. Him and Masvidal would obviously be a huge box office potentially.
Yeah, they'll sell that fight. anywhere.
And I'll
Anywhere
tell
in
you
the
right
world.
now, management team here or not, it would be a super high pressure fight for him.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
the Cowboy fight's pressure
He's
too,
no joke.
but I think he'll get that. I think he can win
Cowboy
that.
would be an easier opponent than Masvidal.
Yeah,
100%.
and I just don't think, honestly, for Conor, the kind of person he is, the kind of pride he has, he can't lose another marquee fight like that. Like I don't think he would not
if he
be
does,
pleased.
he'll bounce back. But it's hard to sell yourself if you keep losing. You have to be able to
Well, that's
win.
all the pressure that was on Darren Till to a
I was
small degree
about
this
to
past
say,
weekend.
Definitely. And people are like, oh, the fight was so boring. I'm like, shut up.
Well, sorry, I did.
I
I
was
was
there.
one of those
Nah,
amateurs who thought it was boring.
I'm gonna fight one of them. So I want Till to win because I like a new challenger. You know,
Right. Well, you already beat Gastelum, so
If he won, great. But I just want, and also Till, me and him, like he said, we've been destined to fight for a while. But with a performance like that, I'd say he has like one more or two more fights before he gets to take a shot at the man. But I'm just
Talk it.
saying, yeah, talk
no,
that shit,
no.
man.
Explain this to me though, since I have you here. To a layman like me,
I got time.
Yeah, there you go. To a layman like me who's sitting there and going like, I am bored. You know, relatively during that fight, I'm not the kind of guy who boos at a fight. I think it's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Fights have styles. Things
Yeah.
happen. I would never do that.
just
But I
shut
was
up.
a little checked out. I was probably checking my phone a little bit and starting to be like,
And that's fair enough. You
So-
have a right to.
what do you see when you watch a fight like Till and Gastelum that maybe the average person didn't see?
For me, what I was impressed with was Till. He played it safe, which was smart because he's been stopped his last two fights and badly by Jorge before that. So debut, taking a big risk against a guy like Gastelum, who you just saw what me and him went through. And then his distance. You know, one thing with Gastelum that he did on me was this little hop step to get inside. And I only started checking it and correcting it from the third round onwards. Till, you're welcome, corrected it from the first, but I'm sure they've watched a lot of tape and saw what he was doing. And whenever Gastelum threw a hook, he ducked underneath and just clinched, engaged in a clinch and shut him down straight away. Then whenever he wanted to, break away and then reset. So I'm watching his kicking game as well. I like this kicking game. And just his range, I was really impressed with his distance, but that's because I'm a nerd with it. So that's different. There was, no just bleed. That's more for the Jorge and the Nate Diaz fight. That's what that was for.
Well, exactly.
They
It's
did. They
a
did.
different piece of art altogether.
100%. It's mixed martial arts. This is art at the end of the day, and art's subjective. So, you don't have to like every fight. Not every fight on the card I like, but overall it was a good card.
Anyone else that you absolutely want to get in the cage with one day?
Everyone. Like I've called out John Jones, Stipe, called out, Cannonier. I call out the boogeyman of the division, the guy that went 10 rounds with Robert Whittaker. When before I got this belt, everyone was like, he went 10 rounds with Robert Whittaker. With Romero, how are you gonna beat him? I'm like, and I said it. You don't need 10 rounds with another man. You just need 5, 4, 3, 2. I got it done in 2.
Is Romero going to happen?
It's hard to sell. I called him out because I don't really care too much about records. I look at, what you can do. And he's a hard fight. He's a warrior. That's a challenge. Like, this shit is nice. It's not even the real one. It's just a replica. But
Where's the real one?
I don't look at it too much. I don't get attached to it because for me, it's not about the gold. It's about beating the challenger, like beating Robert Whittaker in his home country in front of 57,127 people. That is a real title to me. That right there is what gets me up in the morning. This shit right here just matches all this, and gold looks good on black skin.
I love the talk you're talking right now.
Yeah,
strong
bars.
talk.
Mic drop.
Yeah, we'll end it right there. But it is true. One of the things I love about MMA is at first I didn't like it that people could lose and have losses in their win-loss record and still be so relevant. I wasn't used to it because boxing, you lose a couple times, it's basically
That's
over.
it, you're done. Yeah.
But yeah, in UFC, attachment to a title is cool, but titles come and go, and
100%.
people will have losses.
You see, Colby right now walks around with that old replica belt like it's his baby or something. And I'm like, everyone's different, For me, I don't like to get attached to material things because it can all get taken away like that. So I have this quote, stay woke, stay broke, and I got to stay like that up here. If not, one day, if you get attached to this and all gets taken away, then who are you without it?
I just love that Colby's kissed up to Trump so much, and then it ended up that he was there, and then Trump was there, and you weren't even on the card. Pure comedy.
I know, right?
Although we got to talk about Derek Lewis another time. That's
the Black Beast. He's a funny motherfucker.
Yeah, well, he was a little too funny this past weekend. Hey, it was a pleasure, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Be looking for your
man.
next fight.
Appreciate
Isreal
it.
Adesanya, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.